our student sabbatical officer now. We've got Linda Harson, who's the head of curriculum. We've got Sharon Bailey, who's student administration manager, and Scott Smith, who's the HE registrar. And this is a typical makeup of an appeal panel sort of thing. So the purpose of this meeting, as I'm sure you'll know from the procedure, the regulation, is to hear your appeal. And from my understanding, you're appealing against the decision of the Board of Examiners. Is that right?
Yes.
So normally in an appeal panel, we will listen to your appeal and then normally have a break for a conversation, and we'd ask you to leave, obviously, discuss what was being presented, sort of thing, and then, if possible, call you, back in for some feedback. Really, is that okay?
Perfect.
So my understanding at the moment, from what you've told me, is that you believe that the feedback that you receive isn't proportional to, I suppose, the dissertation, the work that you present.
It doesn't correspond with the dissertation. It doesn't seem to talk about that dissertation at all.
Yeah.
And that's just the feedback that was received originally. Then we got the document and the feedback. The discussion that supposedly taken place at some point where the markers met and discussed it. That seems to be another issue. The feedback provided there, just between the two markers, is completely different to the feedback provided to Mr. Lacau. And by completely different, I mean it contradicts what was provided to Mr. Lacau.
Scott told me yesterday that there is no requirement for the second marker to record any additional comments. I haven't been provided any, not just comment, any marking from the second marker, any documentation, anything, which I thought that it was something that it could be provided in this panel, because actually the regulation of the college says that everything, all stages are always recorded, and they begin first feedback and first mark, which corresponds to the fair markers marks, who is Karen Black, the tutor. That's the feedback that doesn't correspond to the content of the dissertation. It's very vague. It's contradictory with the information and everything that has been written. There is not any feedback from the second marker, from Keith Tomlinson. We have this documentation, which this is the Stage 2 Moderation 4, which is a document that must be filled and written by the first and the second marker when they meet to put in common their opinions. It's surprising that feedback, the original feedback 1, said something. I don't know what the second marker wrote, because we didn't have access to that. That document must be somewhere, because if it has been recorded, it must be somewhere, so it would be interesting to get access to that. When both markers they met, they wrote here another feedback, which is again shows some lacks of information about the dissertation. After that, apparently, this has to be, according to the regulations of the college, this has been also revised by an external examiner, and the external examiner wrote on the first feedback provided by Karen Black, with several contradictions before this one, some notes handwritten on the top, and basically just wrote, agree with the first marker. That's fair enough, but is agree with this marker that is opposite to this one. We don't have any access to Mr. Tomlinson's feedback or comments. There are some much contradiction between the different feedback, the different comments.
What's been mentioned very briefly here is the fact that we don't seem to have any evidence of the second marking, including the mark itself. There's nothing to suggest that Mr. Keith Tomlinson got a chance to see the dissertation before the actual meeting. There's nothing whatsoever, there's no document to represent the second marking at all. Whether that document exists or not, we don't know it. But obviously, since every stage has to be documented, and we have no documentation of that stage, I believe very strongly that the procedures haven't been followed. Even if that did happen, we have no documentation to prove it at all at this very moment. Do we have any evidence? Do we have any proof that it has been second marked?
That question.
It is.
The requirement is only for tutors to complete this stage 2 moderation form. So, although I do take your point that what is written on there could be added to and certainly improved, that to me would mean evidence of the second marking having taken place. There's no requirement for the second marker to provide or retain a written copy that perhaps has got some comments on it. Generally, a first marker would go through giving feedback as they went. The second marker is certainly not required to do that. So they would come up independently with a mark, although there may not be any written evidence against an assessment to prove that they've gone through it as such. It would be very much the way they want to approach the mark.
That's from your
This
website.
is a college
That
regulation.
every stage of all stages must be recorded. Well, if then that stage doesn't have to be recorded,
including second marking.
I find that quite confusing. Why would that be not? Why would that not be recorded if all stages must be?
First of all, what Scott has said in terms of, I take on board your point there that maybe that is misleading. So that's there's quite often through these processes there are improvements to processes that we put in place, and that may be something that we do need to consider. Going back to your point, and I'm not arguing with you, but just responding to what you're saying. In terms of you saying there's no reason to believe that because there hasn't been any evidence presented to you that it was second marked. Well, using that analogy, because you are presented with a form filled in with a mark on, also doesn't prove that somebody has marked it, if that makes sense. So somebody could fill, I wouldn't, but I could fill something in and pop it there. It doesn't prove that I've read it. Do you know what I mean? So, and Scott is quite right in that there isn't a prescribed approach to the record keeping of marking. That is the process. If that clarifies anything, if you know what I mean, in terms of the point that you're clearly making,
Yes, but can we now say beyond any doubt that it has been second marked and the mark was B?
Can we?
Can we?
If you just to emphasise this point, if we just discount every word that's written on there, it doesn't matter what's written on there. It's whether the process has been followed, doesn't it? And I think what you're saying is what is written on there doesn't equate, but if it was absolutely word perfect, that wouldn't also mean that the process has been followed. It just means that they've written some words on there. So what we do is provide a framework for people to work within, and these professional people. The reason that we have these stages is to ensure that individuals don't have any grudge or any conflict around the marking, and that is also why the external examiners is crucial in this. And I think it's practice from this curriculum area to get as many, if not all, dissertations seen by the external examiner. And I'd be more than happy actually to get evidence from the external examiner to verify that these are their words. The 16th of June will have been the day of the board.
Yeah.
They'll have come in there and viewed work at the board when they attended the board. I can't say why there's different inks, but I'd be more than happy to get the external examiner to verify or disprove that wasn't writing on their words. I don't know if that would reassure you in any way if we need to do that.
And what must just respond to that is that we're not in a court of law. This is
Yeah.
an appeal panel,
Yeah.
and has no relevance to a court of law at all. And it is not in the regulations that we need to prove with reasonable doubt that there's a part of the process has occurred or not, based upon the academic professionalism of the staff. Declaring claims and following the process. That is how it is done. That is custom and practice. We're very. That I need to assure you, not argue with you, but assure you that we're very confident in it. Very confident. So in it completely. And the academic judgment and the academic marking of these professionals is held in very high regard. And that is how the academic process works in higher education. These are genuinely credible professionals in this, and there isn't any doubt about trusting their professionalism, if that makes sense. I'll convey myself. Well, we want the purpose of the panel, we want to clarify points.
Yeah.
But the purpose of the panel at the moment isn't to give you feedback on those. And the purpose of this is for you to present your appeal. So the points, we're making notes of what you were saying. And so if you want to continue the points that you want to make, that would be good.
So can I just ask you to repeat what you said about this? When I said, all stages have to be recorded, you said that wasn't exact. The wording wasn't precise, or it was unfortunate. I can't remember what you said.
I can't remember what I said. But I would probably amend that.
Confusing.
No, I said I apologise if that appears to be misleading. Yeah, misleading. Yeah.
And your name was, sorry?
My name is Sam Hughes, and I'm not saying it is misleading. I'm saying apologise if it is misleading.
I mean, in my opinion, all stages always recorded. That's a pretty clear message. All stages always recorded. If we are now being told that, actually that stage doesn't need to be recorded. I mean, sounds laughable, really. Doesn't seem like you're.
I would argue would be that we're talking about a subsection of a stage there. So the second marking part of a stage, and stage 2 has been recorded, perhaps not in a way that you would require it yourself, but I believe that it met the requirements in some way to record stage 2.
Right. Unfortunately, I have to disagree. To me, not recording the second marking at all.
Here and scheme saying first marking, second marking, and what is outside the circle say all stages must be always recorded. So that applies to everything that is inside the circle. Maybe we can ask for another opinion, but maybe it can be misleading. But also, if I received some instructions to write a dissertation or to go to an exam, and I didn't follow them, and I didn't stick to any one of those instructions, probably I wouldn't be given that benefit of the doubt. It's a personal opinion.
Your point is taken.
Just a quick question again. It says here, please comment on the discussion between first marking and second marking, including decisions made after consultation. Do you, ladies and gents, see any decisions being noted on here? Maybe we just missed something. Does this document indicate any decisions being made?
Well, in fairness, we're not here to give you feedback. On each stage.
Right.
It's about hearing your appeal.
Right. Okay. No, I'm asking because, like I said, we strongly believe that this part wasn't finished, wasn't
Or didn't meet
done.
the reason because it was contained.
I just wanted to make sure that we got things right. As, like I said, we don't seem to be able to find that.
Yeah, that point is understood.
Right.
Okay. We have, based on the information, the very comprehensive, so thank you, comprehensive information. We have reviewed the decision made by the Board of Examiners. And so we're not upholding the appeal at this stage, in that we're dismissing the appeal. In that, we believe that based on the process, the right decision was made. Confirmation of that will be sent in a letter from Sharon directly to you, along with details of how to escalate this further, because there are other stages beyond this.
Just to say that obviously the appeals against boards and examiners' decisions needs to be made against protests and not marks, and that's the way you've approached this as far as the appeals are concerned. And we found that the process has been adhered to. Now, I know that you disagree with that from what you said today, but as a panel, we believe that it has been done and adhered to. So that's why we've made the decision not to uphold your opinion.
Can I just ask you to repeat one thing? Have you got that? You said something that the second marking was not a stage.
Second marking is part of a stage, isn't it?
Right.
So your stage one is
stage two,
prior
second marking.
Pre-distribution. So that's before a student sees any of the work. We make sure that the assessment tools are valid, reasonable, and appropriate for students. And stage two is about assuring that the marks that have been awarded are correct. So there's only two stages, but within those stages there are various sub-elements and second marking.
And you don't believe taking any note of the second marking is appropriate?
Well, it's not within our regulations for tutors to have to do that. So as long as they've recorded within the stage 2 moderation form that it has occurred, then we take it as read that it has occurred.
Right, something. Right, okay.
Because there are four grounds for an appeal.
Yes.
One is you appealing a decision made by the academic malpractice panel, so it's not that. An appeal about the college admissions process around when you are joining the college at the beginning of the programme, as a result of the outcome of a personal mitigating circumstances application. It's not that. And the only one left, which is what I confirmed at the beginning, that this appeal was to review a decision made by the Board of Examiners, including decisions made by a module or programme board. And so that's the basis of the appeal that you've made, and considering the evidence, that's what you have appealed, and so that's what a decision's been made against. You see, you've ticked the right section.
I did.
Oh yeah. No, you have done nothing wrong in your application. It's just that we're not upholding it. That's all.